And we're back live on your number one sports podcast, All Things Sports, brought to you by Small Town Productions. I'm your co-host, Small Town EP, joined by your host, Julian. It is Championship Monday. Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, Travis Kelce, and company have done it again. Kansas City, third Super Bowl in the last 5 years, 4 appearances in 5 years, third Super Bowl MVP for Mahomes, ties Montana, only trails TB12. June, how did the 49ers manage to blow that lead and lose in only the second Super Bowl to ever go to overtime, man?
I mean, first and foremost, congratulations to the Chiefs, Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and the gang. EP, that's your team, bro, and you're the only Chiefs fan I know. So as far as anybody out around me celebrating, it's really just you. So shout out to you. You stuck with them, all season. They had doubt. A lot of people wanted to say that they didn't have enough. The receivers weren't going to be enough, and this is really just how you silence everything. Wanted to appreciate what we're looking at right now. We're in the middle of the next greatest thing. And growing up with Tom Brady being the guy, and us being so young, I had more hate than appreciation for it. And as a Colts fan personally, I had more hate than appreciation for it because he always found success versus us. But I guess this time around, and then I started to appreciate Tom Brady and the hate kind of wore off because when you're a big sports fan like me, you got to appreciate greatness at the end of the day. And so what we're seeing here with Patrick Mahomes, Coach Reid, it's second to none um, at the moment. So just wanted to credit them real quick. Just as far as your question, 49ers blowing this lead, it was crazy, man, because both sides played great defense all night, right? And a lot of people were saying this was a quote unquote boring game, wasn't exciting, and that's fine. Everybody has their opinion. Personally, for me, it was a great game. I was entertained the whole time. I love seeing defensive stops. Watching Patrick Mahomes struggle for 3 straight quarters and a little bit of that fourth quarter, and then still finding a way. It just kind of shows you that he's no one trick pony. We've been through this, but he will find a way, to will his team to victory. And the 49ers, man, they kind of brought themselves back to what they had stout defense. They were getting to the quarterback, locking things up on the back end and really causing like a mental havoc for Patrick Mahomes. It looked like he was playing rushed all game. It looked like he was never really comfortable getting to set his feet and make a throw. He had to crawl out of the pocket time and time again. Nick Bosa had a great game as far as quarterback pressures. Chase Young was making his money last night. But it's just one of those things where I heard it a few times leading on yesterday. Like you win this game in the fourth quarter, and listen, man, Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes' relationship is the reason that the 49ers blew this loss. Like, you can credit, uh, obviously, the Chiefs' offense as a whole. You can credit, or you can say that there were some lapses in the defense late in the game. But I think it was just Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes kind of coming together and saying, listen, we're going to do what we do best, play and and go get this win. Travis Kelce came alive in that second half, more so in the fourth quarter, but came alive in that second half. And it looked like once Kansas City figured out what worked for them, they had San Francisco's defense on their heels, and every play was just positive yards, and the game started off as every play being backward. The Kansas City had to fight for yards, and we looked at that in first half quarterback comparison, and Brock Purdy was looking good, man. It was looking good, and but reality kind of sunk in, and that Chiefs defense. Shout out to them, Super Bowl MVPs. Obviously it's Patrick Mahomes and well deserved. I'm not mad that they gave him the award at all. It's his. But if anybody else were to get that, it's got to be the Chiefs defense because you guys don't win that game, without all the stops. And so to kind of sum it up, I think that the relationship between Andy Reid and Travis Kelce willed them to that win with the trust they have in each other, and also that third down defense for the Kansas City Chiefs. You know what I'm saying? Getting those big stops in huge moments. We saw there was a crucial third down at the 2-minute warning where Brock Purdy could have put it away, and it was like seasons on the line. It's all coming down to this, and your defense stepped up. So that's my answer.
Nah, I'd say I totally agree. I mean, the defense, it was a low scoring game before, the fourth quarter, essentially. So the defense had to come through time and time again. We had, Pacheco almost lose the ball for us at one point. That toss was literally routine. This is something that you do every day, bro, you know?
Yeah.
But again, I mean, we go back to Patrick Mahomes. 4 runs, 3 of those were for first downs. RPO that we hadn't run all game, and out of nowhere we run this RPO where it's crucial. This is win or go home. This is game on the line right now. And there's times where I saw Patrick Mahomes running in all 4 of those, and it's like, yo, this could end very bad, bro. You should probably slide. And he contact, you know what I'm saying, embraces the contact, championship winning mentality, mama mentality, as they say. RIP Kobe. And just all season, his speeches pre-game were find a way to win. Find a way to win. I mean, I'll admit it. There was times this documented on the podcast that I didn't know. I was like, yo, this looks really bad this year. He's never been this visibly frustrated. I'm not saying, he's a football player. He's a competitor. I'm sure he gets frustrated. But prior to this year, we didn't see the hardships of the team really get to his psyche and him really have just poor body composure on the field and just looking like, oh my God, this guy can't catch a ball. What's going on? It's in the breadbasket for him. Why can't you know what I mean? And I mean, we saw the what was it in the Bills game? Finally, is when everyone was like, "Oh my God, this!" And that's when I was like, "Oh my God!" Like he's yelling at his coach. What is going on right now? Like this is wild. This team looks like we're melting down right now, And surely enough, like you mentioned and referenced all year, it's Patrick Mahomes, it's Andy Reid. We can never count them out. And even there was times where I was like, I don't know, man. This doesn't look good right now. You were like, we don't really got to talk about it. It's Patrick Mahomes, it's Andy Reid, it's Travis Kelce. Like, what else?
Man.
Why are we going to doubt them? And then you get to the playoffs and you just kick it into the next gear, and 13.7 points allowed prior to the Super Bowl in the playoffs per game. QBR allowed of 43, second lowest in the postseason. I mean, you beat who I said before the season started was going to be the most explosive offense in the AFC, which was the Dolphins, and you beat them at home.
Yeah.
You go on the road, and they're like, "Hey, he's never been on the road before," and then you beat Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills. I won't push too much stock into that. You know how I feel, but it is what it is. Great game. And then you go and you visit the MVP of the league at their house in the biggest game of the season, and you somehow, once again, find a way. You just find a way.
Yeah.
And I don't know what else to say. I mean, we're walking up to the line with the game on the line. We have timeouts in hand, not calling any timeouts. And I'm yelling at the TV, like, call the time. Like, just get settled in. And you went on this corn dog play that you got, that we call it.
Corn dog.
For the second year in a row. It's like this. People talk about the NFL script, and it's really the Patrick Mahomes script at this point. I mean, and you have. I want to ask you about, because you referenced it, that Kelce and that Andy Reid moment, and I personally think it's being a little blown out of proportion at this point, because I mean he's a fierce competitor. Did that look worse than it was, or was it just championship game, emotions on the line, like just that championship energy?
I think it was a mixture of both. Like, it's not a good look, I wouldn't say. It's not something that you think Travis Kelce would say he would do it again. Like, I would do it again, and I wouldn't say that it was also like something so negative. I mean, sometimes when you're in this moment and you've been here before, and you have a deep relationship with coach, um, it's just passion, man. And what you want to see from your guys is passion. So like Coach Reed, he obviously said in the post game conference that he's like, I loved it, I appreciated it, and so it's not a good look because during the middle of the game, it's like the first quarter. It looks like you're kind of melting down. Going back to what you said, um, and Travis Kelsey's not known to be that guy. He's always like killer Trav, cool, calm, and collect. You know what I'm saying? And gonna get his regardless, and making it look easy. This year, it looked like he had to really grind it out. He had to earn his rep, and he did. That's the type of player he is. But I don't look too much into it because one, they won, right? Winning cures all, and so Super Bowl champion Travis Kelsey, that's going to be in the documentary, right? That's going to be a great 5-minute storyline for the documentary in 10 years, that we'll get to see. And I don't want to talk about had they lost because they didn't. And so this is a bad ugly, but greatness, and this is all a part of it. So I wouldn't look too much into it, man. Travis Kelsey is a GOAT tight end, arguably, right? Andy Reid is a top 5 head coach of all time, and and that, like, I'm a Heat fan, right? And Jimmy Butler and Coach Spoelstra almost once were about a fight during a game on the sideline. Coach Spoelstra threw a clipboard on the floor, and we go on to go to the finals. This was during a moment in the season where things were headed downhill. We didn't know the direction of what we were doing, and we weren't playing Miami Heat basketball. Not to get too deep into basketball, but just championship pedigree at the end of the day, and great player Jimmy Butler, Travis Kelsey, great coach Eric Spoelstra, Andy Reid. It's never going to be all glitz and glamour. It's not going to always be cute, right? Um, to further that point, Rashi Rice, a rookie, for complaining and bitching at Patrick Mahomes. Excuse me, are you screaming at the quarterback right now, bro?
Granted, I might have missed that read, but who are you?
Excuse, bro. I'll miss it again. We're
Facts.
here because of me, and we're here because of you. Like, this is not to knock Rashi Rice. He had an amazing game, and we talked about how he was going to be an X factor in this game, and he was. But it's just, look at that. Like, don't look at Travis Kelsey and Coach Reed. Their relationship is great. Travis Kelsey's capable of 9 catches for over 90 yards. Almost got that score at the end there. That would have been amazing. That would have been very storybook had he got that touchdown in that drag route. But just made the plays. So, no, man, don't look too deep into that. And I think, again, it's just going to be so much more of a cooler story when they get to tell it, in 5 to 10 years from now in a documentary setting.
Yeah, you referenced Dynasty. You referenced Kelsey being, GOAT tight end. I'm a fan of this team because of Tony Gonzalez, another, GOAT tight end. And
right.
He may not be the most accomplished quarterback to do it, but at this point, is Patrick Mahomes the greatest to ever do it, Julian?
I think so. And when I say yes, like, obviously with respect to Tom Brady, he's the epitome of what a quarterback in this league, a great quarterback in this league is. Um, but if you're looking and like on track for, Patrick Mahomes is blowing his numbers out the water. 2 MVPs already. Brady hadn't had an MVP at this point in his career. Mahomes has 2. Um, Brady didn't have 3 Super Bowl MVPs. Deion Branch won one of those. Shout out to Deion Branch.
Yeah, 2.
Patrick Mahomes has 3. And he's clearly the best player on the field every time he wins. And Brady, how do I say this? As great as he was, he always had greatness around him as well. And his defenses were always great. His offensive line was always great. His wide receivers weren't always the best. But I think with his protection and with his defense and run game, it just always made things that much more simple for him as far as being able to do what he does and giving him that peace of mind or that ease during the game. But Patrick Mahomes, we've seen him do it without defense. We've seen him do it. We've seen him do it without wide receivers. And and then with this game, with the great defense, this is the greatest Chiefs defense I've seen. With a great defense and the offense unable to score, where did they just pull out the magic tricks for them to automatically now start driving the ball down the field? Now every play is going for 4 to 7 yards. Like, that's just who you are as a player. Script, 15 minutes first quarter, what we're going to do, game. That's not game plan. That's, all right, we got to close the book here and figure this out. Mahomes, what do you see? What do you like? Read, trusting his quarterback, understanding that he does have the greatest player in history, and feeding into it and not ever trying to take away from Patrick Mahomes. So, yeah, as far as like on pace for, I would have to say Patrick Mahomes is the greatest player to ever play this game. And if you look at Brady has a tremendous arm talent, precision passer, IQ of a fucking, savant, but Mahomes can do the unorthodox things. He can get you the first down on an RPO where you think they might run into Pacheco. Wait, they might throw it to the flat at Kelsey, or fools you both. He might just pick it up himself because he's an athlete, and he's way more athletic than people give him credit for. And once he started finding his big first down where he on the left side of the field where he came into contact with 2 or 3 defenders, put his head down. Brady's not doing that. Brady's not doing RPO. Brady's not doing I'll run right into the safety because Brady didn't have the athletic ability to do so. And so when we're talking about talent, you have to look at everything. And Patrick Mahomes has the arm talent, the athleticism, the IQ, and the competitiveness.
Let's take it to the other side. I don't want to, kind of flood the airways too much with all this Chiefs talk, right? The man Brock Purdy. I mean, first half, I'm watching this and I'm saying I had some homies over and I was like, oh my god, this kid looks sharp today. This kid is on one today. This kid is making reads. This kid is making precision passes. He's putting it in the breadbasket for these guys. Like, granted, the defense came, Chiefs defense came in clutch a lot, but he was carving a turkey out there for a little bit. He was carving a turkey, and we said that these cornerbacks and this this defensive line for the Chiefs were going to be a big deal, and I mean, even Chris Jones brought people up and brought them together and was like, hey, look, guys, calm down, relax, all right. This is the Super Bowl. Don't get it fucked up, but it's another game. We did this. We just did this 20 times this season, right? We just got to do it one more time, and we can all go on vacation. Yeah. You know what I mean? But this kid Brock Purdy, man, I mean, he's on a rookie contract right now. You just brought your team to the Super Bowl in the second season, in your second season after being the very last pick of the draft. Like, you weren't even in attendance. Your picture was on the Jumbotron. That was about it. You probably got the call doing some everyday house chores or whatever. Like, yo, you're good. You're in, Is this game, is this his loss essentially, or is this a coaching staff? Is this a bigger thing, or do we have to put this on Brock Purdy because around the second half, fourth quarter, it wasn't looking too efficient anymore?
Yeah. Nah, man. I think Brock Purdy did a phenomenal job in that first quarter, especially first half, and then things started to slow down, and the Chiefs defense really got back to their roots. And so this was a battle of 2 great defenses, 2 top defenses in the league. We got to keep in that in our heads when we're talking about quarterback play. And that just kind of brings up Mahomes, not to mention him again, is so great because that 49ers defense for 45 minutes, 50 minutes, clamping shit up. Patrick Mahomes threw an interception that looked horrible. Pacheco and him couldn't connect on a easy pitch. And things weren't going your guys' way. Pacheco fumbled early in the game, and it was a rattledness to it. I know that we're talking about Brock Purdy here, but just on both sides, there was a lot of we can't get things done at a certain point in the game. And so the 49ers had this game the whole game, and it was theirs to lose. It wasn't Brock Purdy's loss. I don't agree with the fact that Christian McCaffrey only got 22 carries because I think that they could have fed him the ball a little more, took a little bit of stress off of Brock Purdy having to make certain throws in certain areas. Um, and so put blame on one person, man. I don't think this is coaching's fault. This is Brock Purdy's fault. This was the better team won, and like you got to convert though. That's the one thing I'll criticize Brock Purdy on. Third down, it's the biggest down in the game, and at one point I think they were like 1 for 6 at one point, and that's not going to get the job done. You know what I'm saying? So third down is your money down. You got to be better. You gotta. I'm not gonna put that on Brock Purdy. I think Brock Purdy could have been a little better at times. Could have made some throws a little more precise. But no, man, this was the Chiefs. I think this was the Chiefs taking that win from the 49ers. They just took the win, and the better team ended up victorious.
Yeah, man, Brock Purdy, 23 for 38, 255, a touchdown, was sacked once. He did have three rushes for 12 yards in total. His longest was 9 yards. And just to give, the other side of the stat line, Patrick Mahomes, 34 for 46, 333, 2 touchdowns, an interception that you referenced, 3 sacks. It was a rough game, like you were saying. That 49ers defense was locking it down in the first, like you said, 45, 50 minutes or so. And it was a bit alarming, I would say. I want to kick it over to the chat real quick. I want to shout out everybody in there. The official QP in there. Ray Cam Bam was always in there. Cardi's in there. Shout out to Cardi. He said he's not about to tolerate any Brady slander. Look, we referenced that he's a great, like I said, and I prefaced the question with saying Patrick Mahomes isn't the most accomplished quarterback, but at this point, is he the greatest to ever do it? I mean, I'm, right? I didn't even want to bring Brady up, but it has to happen. It has to happen in this conversation. Andre's in there. Shout out to Dre. Patty got 3 rings and 6 tries. Come on, if he ain't sit his rookie year, he might have gotten another one, is what Dre's saying. And shout out to John Day saying, what a game last night.
Shout them out. These, a lot of real ones in the chat right now, man. Shout out to QP, that's my boy for Sean. Shout out to Ray. Shout out to Cardi, Dre, John Days. Look, I'm gonna start with Cardi. I don't recall Brady slander. I don't know what I said. Please, but as I was praising Mahomes, I don't think I discredited Tom Brady in any capacity. I started by saying Tom Brady is, the greatest, and I did say that he is the epitome of what a great quarterback is in this league. I believe was word for word what I said.
Savant, I think, was a word that was used.
I also used, IQ of a fucking savant. That was another quote. Pretty high QB12 here for he didn't even play yesterday. He's not even the quarterback anymore, right? So I don't know if this is Cardi hating on the Chiefs dynasty. I don't know if Cardi doesn't see what we're seeing. But you have to see what you just have to look at what you're seeing with your eyes, Cardi. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, his playoff numbers speak for themselves alone, let alone his regular season success. To go back into the who's the greatest of all time, because he's 28 years old. This man has another 12 to 13 years to play this game, and if you're telling me that you think he can't catch up to Brady in 12 to 13 to 14 years, and he's already got 3. I don't know that's much of a conversation. So, anyways.
Yeah, so we'll get back to the game in this ATSPOD Super Bowl review. Listen, I don't have the exact quote, but there's a lot of controversy into going, and I have a couple exact quotes, which is not this exact quote. There's a couple. There's some controversy with these, with the change in the overtime rules, specifically in the Super Bowl. Shanahan mentioned that they decided to receive the ball first, not defer, because he wanted the third possession, is what he said. I wanted the third possession. June, was he looking a little too far ahead in the game? Because from what I understand, look, I've never played football a day in my life. Cardi, you're in the chat, you play football. If anyone else is in the chat, you guys have played, a scholastic sports. Well, scholastic football, because I play scholastic basketball, but scholastic football. I've never, played football, organized a day in my life. So, but from what I understand, the philosophy is you defer because each team gets a possession regardless. And if you tell your defense to go out there and just, let's say you hold them to 3. Look, if we score a touchdown in this drive, we're going home with a chip. You know what I mean? Yeah. Was he looking a little too far ahead? Was he just shaking? There's also, people saying no one knew the rules as far as San Francisco staff is concerned. I'll bring up a couple quotes in a second. What was going on with that overtime philosophy that Shanahan had going on?
For me, it's more of like, I don't want to give the ball to Patrick Mahomes to score first and then force us to have to score. Clearly, Brock Purdy couldn't go down and score a touchdown in overtime, and he couldn't play that second half. So I don't know if Shanahan had the confidence in his quarterback to say, we're going to play our defense, and if they score, we still have a chance. Brock Purdy is going to have to lead us down 75 yards on a 12 to 13 to 14 play drive and get us in the end zone. Patrick Mahomes led the team on a 13 play drive, 75 yards into the end zone. And it was masterful. There were a few play calls in there that he just kind of went back to what he knew. And I'm not sure that Shanahan was comfortable in being in that situation with a guy like Brock Purdy. And it's not to discredit, it's just being realistic. Going into overtime, obviously the Chiefs had the momentum. They were able to get down the field quick and get that field goal with 6 seconds left. I did want to see them try for a touchdown with that 6 seconds and timeout that they had, but I totally get, Andy Reid being content with where they were, just going to overtime and understanding, look, we have a chance regardless. So, but yeah, as far as Shanahan, man, I think it's just more so that he didn't want Brock Purdy to be down 7 points in overtime and have to be forced to score a touchdown. He'd rather trust his defense in trying to stop Mahomes, which double-edged sword, right? Like, do you trust a second-year quarterback to go down and score on a must-need touchdown drive, or do you trust the defense to stop Patrick Mahomes from scoring a touchdown when he needs a touchdown? And that's what he wants. We could just literally replace Tom Brady with Patrick Mahomes as far as the name, and a lot of statements stand true.
I hear that. And when you put it that way, that makes sense. I mean, I'm definitely trusting this defense that was feared throughout the year. Even on the 3-game skid that they had, this defense was definitely still feared throughout.
Yeah, defense that forced Patrick Mahomes to, look flustered all night for the most part of the night, throw an interception, right? Couldn't get his favorite target right. And yeah, it makes total sense.
And then, so I'll quote Kyle Juszczyk saying, you know what? I didn't even realize the playoff rules were different in overtime. I assume you just want the ball to score a touchdown and win. I guess that's not the case. I don't totally know the strategy there. We hadn't talked about it. No. And then you have Eric Armstead saying, I didn't even know the new playoff overtime rules, so it was a surprise to me. They put it on the scoreboard and everyone was like, oh, even if you score, they still get a chance. And then you have Justin Reid on Kansas City side saying, we've talked about it all year. We've talked about it in training camp, about how the rules were different in regular season versus the playoffs. Every week of the playoffs, we talked about the overtime rule. And it just feels, with a coach like Kyle Shanahan, 0-3 in the Super Bowl at this point, and it's three very like fireable losses, like get out of the building losses.
I think one of them was the offensive coordinator
Yes,
loss,
sorry, he
correct?
was an offensive coordinator in Atlanta. Correct. Um, they also didn't score for the rest of the game after they went up 28-3. So I mean, I'm not different position, same outcome, right?
Right.
And it showed. It just a coach like Kyle Shanahan, who's now 0-3 and 0-2 as a head coach, 0-3 in the Super Bowl total. Unserious. You just are not prepared for this championship caliber moment that is in front of you, and it's your repeat offender at this point. What do you think about his repeat offender? Sounds very like
Repeat
malicious.
offender is crazy.
I mentioned in the last pod the future of the or the proverbial window for the Niners, and everyone that they're gonna have to pay in this offseason. I mean, Chase Young's gonna have, I think he's on his 5th-year option or something like that at this point, so he's gonna need a bag. Again, I says Christian McCaffrey underpaid, he's gonna need a bag. Armstead's going to need a back, granted, a full recovery. I hope, what I'm saying, it's horrible to see an injury like that as you just kind of,
Greenlaw.
yeah, Greenlaw. Sorry, Greenlaw's going to run a bag. Armstead's going to run a bag. You're going to have to pay a lot of people. After the Super Bowl, I'm going to ask you the same question now. Is the window a little smaller for San Fran now, June?
Yeah, I mean, I think the window gets a little smaller every time you lose, like you finish a Super Bowl. Once the season finishes, like the window, even if you got some guys coming back, because you know that even going forward past that, it's going to shrink as well. But I, I think they're still going to have a great opportunity. The NFC is a little bit more open than the AFC is, and the AFC the AFC is open. However, there's a lot of talent in the AFC, and then there's also a lot of newer teams that are going to be starting to compete uh, seriously in the AFC. But in the NFC, it's suspects type of thing. And when you have a guy like Christian McCaffrey on your team, you got a guy like Debo Samuel and George Kittle, quarterback like Brock Purdy, you're going to have a chance, right? Fred Warner's on the defense, Travarius Ward's on that defense, and so they've got guys. The thing is, they can make the Super Bowl. They've gone there before. This ain't the first time. You got to win the game. And whether we're going to look at Kyle Shanahan as a scapegoat, whether we're going to, criticize him as Brock leaders of the NFL, I've seen tweets on, and I'm not here to do all that. But the facts, are the facts. And 0-2 as a head coach, 0-2 versus this Chiefs team, responsible for not scoring any points after being up 28-3 versus Brady in 2016. Um, that's a lot. That's a lot. So as far as going back to the players not being prepared, man, I mean, Kyle Shanahan is one of the coaches that have you prepared for a game in the league. And so it's a bit surprising for me to hear that guys are coming out and saying, like, that kind of caught us by surprise, man. I didn't know that the overtime rules changed. And obviously the Chiefs players, whether they're flexing a little bit, whether they're dragging it and saying Justin Reed's like, we talked about it since preseason. I mean, it's believable. It's Andy Reid. Drew Tranquil is dropping comments on Instagram like, yeah, we talked about this all the time. And as they should. If you're in the league, you gotta be up to date with what's going on. And just because you haven't been put in a position to kind of have to worry about it, you never know. So it was a bit surprising to see these guys come out and say that they weren't aware of the new overtime rules. And then to me, I think that also just does something mentally to you. So you figure the Chiefs had the momentum going into overtime after stopping them to a field goal, getting the field goal to tie the game, and then think about like the process of the players on the sideline. Like, hold on, wait, new rules? Like confusion at this moment is a problem. You know what I'm saying? So I think a little bit of that probably seeped into that overtime and the lapses they had on defense because 75 yards, man. you let Patrick Mahomes go down and really, really just drive you down the field. You know what I'm saying? And to a defense that in the first half wasn't even giving him a first down to march down the field and really kind of play at his will, it was unrecognizable. And I think that it was more mental than anything else. You know that you're going up against Patrick Mahomes, one, right? It's overtime. It's Patrick Mahomes, backs against the end zone. This is a big moment here. Two, we're unprepared. Not everybody here. I'm not saying everybody knew the rule. I'm not saying everybody didn't know the rule, but there clearly were a few guys out there that didn't know the new rule. Confusion, and then good old momentum. You know what I'm saying? Good old Mo. It's gonna catch up to you. So yeah, I think the biggest thing was just for me is surprised that they weren't aware of that. That's pretty crazy to say. And then them coming out and saying it, I think that they could have went
Facts.
like they could have kept that, like in house. Like, yeah, man, credit to Patrick Mahomes. He's always able to come down. Like Brock Purdy, he was like, we know we didn't know he's capable of, but to kind of come out and shun the coach, right? Like, cause that's a direct shot at the coach, if you ask me, right? Like, you
Thousand
know that
percent.
the person that should have told you this is Coach Shanahan, and you weren't told, and now you're telling national media post game, well, we didn't know. That's like, well, where's the adults? Like, so
Word to the
I'm
ringer. I don't
not
know
I'm
if you've ever
not I'm
seen
not
the
gonna say
ringer.
that this is. Mm,
No, I say word to the ringer. My fault. I don't know if you've ever seen the ringer, but the part where motherfuckers not aware when they got ice cream. He's like, yo, when the fuck do we get ice cream?
it's just I don't know that this is a fireable thing, right? And I don't know what direction the 49ers would go if they did fire Shanahan because he is a great coach. We have to acknowledge that. He does have a lot of regular season success. He is a run game guru. It fits their style, play action. Brock Purdy and him really have a good relationship. Brock Purdy in a lot of good spots. Gave him an opportunity to win. I mean, they had an opportunity to win last night, so it's not like he's just a fluke coach who can't win in the Super Bowl, and he can't finish the job. And so I think it's just back to the drawing board for the 49ers and taking advantage of the fact that you still do have, three all pros on your offense, maybe four if you're counting Trent Williams, whatever the case. Uh, and you got to roll with it, man. And hopefully, I guess hopefully they do their part and get back at hopefully Super Bowl for them. And Patrick Mahomes isn't the team that they have to play. You know what I'm saying? That the Chiefs aren't the winners of the AFC once again because at that point, I'm sure if we were to see a rematch next year, like it would feel like destiny. It would feel like destiny for the Chiefs to three-peat and do so. Patrick Mahomes getting 3 wins against the 49ers in the Super Bowl. I mean, that's pretty crazy.
Might as well buy
Or
property.
that would be his third one. Yeah, for sure. For
Yeah,
sure.
might as well buy property in Santa Clara and just kind of summer vacation, summer home. I don't know.
It's beautiful over there.
Yeah, I know your pops. I know your peoples love traveling over to the West Coast and spending time out there.
Yeah.
I haven't been blessed enough to make it out there yet. Soon is definitely on the bucket list. But
We got to set something up, man.
I think I think as long as Patrick Mahomes is in the league, every other window in the league, it's about shut. All right, at this point, I'm gonna
Oh
go.
shit. There go that Chiefs there. I like it. Hey, I like it, bro.
I'm gonna go
I
out on a
like
limb
it.
and just say there are no windows, and I reference, I hate to bring them back up, because it's a little controversial, but you bring up Brady, even in his dominance, a couple other people where Brent Roethlisberger was able to win a couple Super Bowls. Like there's people in that era that were able to win a couple Super Bowls, but Tom Brady was also amongst Tom Brady's, like amongst people that you're not Tom Brady, but you're up there. You are, if you can get some type of consistency. Because Tom Brady had peers,
Oh
everyone
yeah.
is always talking about Patrick Mahomes and then everybody else, like Patrick
Yeah.
Mahomes and then the next tier down. You know what I mean?
Right.
Back then it was Brady, it's Manning. You know, it was Big
Big
Ben.
Ben, Philip Rivers,
Come on, you
Eli
know what I
Manning.
mean?
Yeah.
So, and that's I say
Drew
that
Brees.
obviously exactly. I say that as a fan, obviously, but I also say that thinking very logistically and realistically, really, because if people keep talking about him being in this class of his own, I mean, if we don't got peers who, you know, I can load up good as the fire backwards, whatever Drake said, you know, like it's me, myself, and I up here at this point. I mean, the Niners lost 2 out of the last 3. I'm going to go into it. You know, they struggled against Green Bay, came out with the win. They struggled against the Lions, came out with the win. 2 of those last 3 were the Ravens, one of that Ravens game that everyone was like, oh, this is going to be such a great game. You know, this is going to be such a competitive game. Yeah. And then the Ravens just blew them out of the water. And I'm not going to go as far as to say that we dominated the Ravens in the AFC Championship, but we came out victorious, you know, in a much hard fought, you know, much more hard fought game than you guys played. Yeah. And I think all in all, I think that all in all, that was the catalyst for the Chiefs to win. Again, that first half was spooky. I'm not even going to front like I said it earlier. Yo, I'm looking at this kid Brock Purdy making these passes, making these reads. I'm like, oh man, this kid is on one today. But surely enough, Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce had 1 reception in the first half, and that was, you know, what sparked that little moment between him and Andy Reid. After the tight end that was supposed to be playing his position missed a crucial block. Like, you just walked by the guy. Like, you didn't even try to block him, you know? So, you know, frustration was in the air. And second half came out. We throw a pick coming out of the second half, and then things start to settle down. You know, things start to kind of lock into place. You know, Pacheco did what he could. They locked Pacheco down into 18 carries, 59 yards. The only reason I'll say that, the only reason that we beat the Ravens was because we were able to establish a run game in the first half. Like, without that run game established, you know, and that was the scariest part, because not only did they shut Pacheco down, but Mahomes couldn't get out of the pocket. And word to Ant, shout out to Ant in the group chat, nobody was open. You know, like, Mahomes is known for making risky throws, and if he's not willing to even make a throw, like, nobody is open. It is spooky out there. Yeah. Came out with a win. You think they're gonna 3-peat, June? I know the Niners are favored for next year. You think the Chiefs? I know it's a little early talk.
You know what I was gonna say? I think the Chiefs can bet. I don't know about a 3-peat yet. It's a little early. I don't want to just talk about it on a high or anything like that. I do think it's highly possible. I'm not going to doubt it. We got to see how things shape out in the AFC, man. CJ Stroud had a great rookie year. Anthony Richardson is coming back from an injury. And there's a lot of guys that feel like they should have been there. Lamar Jackson, right? Josh Allen. So it's going to be a tough gauntlet next year.
A healthy Joey Burrow.
It's going to be a very competitive Joe Burrow. Say it right, man. Joe Burrow. And, it's going to be a gauntlet for this AFC. And I'm interested to see the schedule and what divisions play each other, you know what I'm saying, and how that's going to shape out. But it's very possible that we see that. And then if they do 3-peat, I would love Patrick Mahomes to just get on this arrogant bullshit and post on Instagram a Mount Rushmore of him with 4 different faces and just quote Drake as far as my Mount Rushmore is me with. That'd be the greatest picture ever. He wouldn't do it. It's not gonna happen, but I could see it. Shout out to Nicole Hardman, bro. Shout out to Nicole Hardman. He had 2 of the biggest plays of the game. Momentum changing play with the deep ball, right? Finally got a big play, and then obviously the game winner, secure hands. Real quick, we didn't mention a big turning point in this game, though. I think everything really, really shifted when they got that muff punt.
Oh, yes.
It was like, leave San Francisco without that muff punt, because everything was in their control, and they were, you know, whether they were struggling, they were making you guys struggle as well. So it was like, all right, we'll give a little, and then you guys will give a little, and vice versa. but they just flipped the field. That's a game-changing play. Unfortunately, they couldn't come back from it, and it sucks because it wasn't like a muff punt where the punt returner just kind of honestly makes a mistake. It was the gunner hits off his foot. Now the punt returner got to try to make guys play really good kick coverage there, and got to the ball. So
yeah, that was crazy. I didn't actually understand why he touched it until I saw the replay, and I was like, oh, because he's aware. He knew what just happened.
I think that won the game for them, honestly.
You got anything else you want to get into as far as this Super Bowl is concerned before we wrap it up, June?
Shout out to Patrick Mahomes. Shout out to Taylor Swift. Shout out to Usher. I put a tweet out yesterday. I put my Super Bowl winners and Super Bowl losers. If you didn't see my tweet, Super Bowl winners yesterday: Patrick Mahomes, Usher, Alicia Keys. More so just for how she was looking. Chiefs defense, Taylor Swift, and Temu. I don't know how they had all that bread to put all them ads out. They had about 4 commercials in there, and there was a lot of brought to you by Temu. So, Super Bowl losers, Dre Greenlaw, prayers up, man. We hope that would have been a different drive if you were playing in that last possession. I'm not saying Patrick Mahomes wouldn't have went down and scored the same way, but I think things would have been a little different. I don't think Kelsey would have been just going on the rampage he started to go on. Kyle Shanahan obviously takes a loss. The whole state of California felt that one. And Swiss Beats, man. Swiss Beats, poor Swiss Beats, bro.
Nasty work. Yo, I was a little beside myself. Ever since Usher got this residency in Las Vegas, this motherfucker's been doing whatever he wants.
Been devious timing.
Oh man. Else, definitely. I mean, shout out Patrick Mahomes. Shout out, Travis Kelce. Damn near headbutting Andy Reid. Listen, shout out Brock Purdy. Last pick in the draft, taking the team to the Super Bowl in the second year, and your contract don't even affect them for another 3 years. So it doesn't even matter what you're getting paid right now, sir, because that's what you're getting paid right now, sir.
That's what you're getting paid.
I would also include Ice Spice into the winners of the Super Bowl because the hip hop.
Who's in there right now?
Yeah. The hip hop and music heads know about this little beef she got with Lotto, and Lotto went to the hood to film the video in the Bronx, the diss record. But Ice Spice was at the Grammys and at the Super Bowl, so like I get it. Look, Lotto, you can wrap circles around Ice Spice. I'm gonna give you that. You feel me? You wrap circles around her, but my girl's at the Grammys and then in Vegas at the Super Bowl. Like, yeah, she wasn't in the Bronx. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I wasn't there. So I'll definitely add her to the list. I'll definitely add her to the list.
With Taylor Swift. Like, let's not discredit the fact that she wasn't just in any press box. She wasn't just at the game. She didn't just perform. You know what I'm saying? Pre-game.
I wanted you to know I was here.
She was chilling with the big dogs. She got chilling with a lot of TV time this year. And Lotto didn't get that TV time. So, I mean, who's really winning? You know what I'm saying? I'm going to leave it there.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, this was your Championship Monday, All Things Sports Championship podcast. If you tuned in on the live, everybody that was there, Dre, Cardi, John Days, Official QP, everybody that tapped in, we appreciate you. We love you. If you go back and watch this on the YouTube, the reruns, we appreciate you. We love you. We'll see you guys on Thursday. We're back to the NBA. MLB's around the corner. March Madness is around the corner. These are the dog days of summer, as they say, but, it's the tedious dog days of summer. We'll see you guys.